And we are live back once again. It is your boys from the West Coast Pop bringing you another X Men, not tier list, X Men
Not doing none of
review.
those.
Not one
Yeah.
of those, but as live on the channel. Episode 6. What a great way to come back after that huge, monumental episode. We got a big show for you guys, but of course, like always, let's hit our music.
Previously on X-Men.
Back again with X-Men 97 reviews, episode 6. It is your boy, the final boss, back again with the main man, Zach. How you doing this week?
Oh, sure. I'm ready to go.
Oh man, he's ready to go. And a lot of people start off with a bang. Really good show, really good. Coming off episode 5, I think you have to take this little detour. Get
Yeah.
everyone back together. The only thing I will say, we didn't get to see any of the other main cast X-Men. I think they're going to hold off on that reaction for next episode. But we kick it off here with Ronan the Accuser, Zach.
I thought this was very cool to put in there because we're all familiar with him. Guardians of the Galaxy is one of the biggest franchises in Marvel. So I thought this was a nice touch. He has been in 2 movies and now he's in the animated series. And it also helps us get into the mindset here of the old school comics with the Shi'ar and the Kree.
Yeah, and I didn't think he didn't come off as like that crazy tyrannical dictator in this version of him.
Right. So I think this is well before he becomes Ronan the Accuser. And I do believe he died in this. Is that really?
He
Didn't
got
she?
clipped.
Yeah,
Straight up, she was it Deathbird, I think her name is. She straight up
yeah.
punked this man. It was insane. The opening. This looks like Thanos go on Thor's ship and wrecking havoc.
This was.
But yeah, it was a crazy opening here. We have a lot of characters that we haven't seen or getting reintroduced to. Zach, who's recently rewatched the last season of X-Men. I don't know if Deathbird
Yeah.
was in there. I know some of the other people were.
First time seeing it, a lot of these other people like Guardian and the people that are around her were with the Shi'ar and were part of the Phoenix Saga and the Dark Phoenix Saga. So a lot of these people were new to us watching X-Men the animated series.
Yes, yes, very new. I'm not too familiar with Guardian. I know he's rocking that mohawk, kind of like Yondu in
Yeah.
the MCU. Obviously, different characters, but he seems very powerful.
He's super strong. He's kind of like the Shi'ar Superman.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, Ronan the Accuser there, rocking some green as opposed to the blue and purple we've seen in the MCU here.
I had to adjust it, Knock. Why did you say this?
Okay, I'm so glad you put this in here because I thought the same thing. Like, you have these people speaking so eloquently, they're from across the galaxy. Why is she throwing out the ghetto? What are we doing here? So this is one of a few slips I've seen in the writing over these 6 episodes. I will say that.
This reminds me when I bitched about this but on the channel enough with episode 1 when Jar Jar Binks says he's all good. Why would he say that? Why would she
Yeah,
say this?
yeah. And if you guys have watched, that was my dad. I didn't know the slide was in there. I thought it was a different way. And Zach clipped it in there last minute for me. But yeah, that was really insane. She's already gunning for the throne. I've kind of seen this with like two sisters battling it out. It kind of reminded me of Starfire from Teen Titans with her. I think
Yeah.
it was her sister's name, like Blackfire or something like that. They kind of battle for like the throne as well. So I thought that was very similar. But yeah, Deathbird's already coming in with just making fun of the ghettos and all that. Man, that was called. She called the whole Earth a ghetto, pretty much.
She did. And I don't like I get that they have things that are the same because we have to speak the same language, so it's all,
Yeah.
the viewers can understand. But it's one thing to seem like, okay, they all have weddings and they all have other things that are kind of earth related. But then like you throw this in there, just kind of like I had to pause it. I had to pause it. I had to let this sink in. I say, okay, it's there.
Like that took me straight out of the immersion. Like I was like, okay. It's like somebody Game of Thrones, like you see the Starbucks cups, just took you right out of it.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Um,
This right here, I just adjusted your slide just because if you want to take a couple of looks here at Deathbird, this is early Shi'ar. I do believe it's in the 80s on top, and then I
okay.
do believe early 2000s below. So you can get kind of a look at what their the looks that they took from and how the evolution turned into X-Men 97.
Yeah, the artwork's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. I'm curious, like, to see if they're going to see her eventually more in the show, or how they're going to flesh this out with Xavier going back to Earth. Or we're going to see them try to take over at some point.
I think this is just a nice nod, a nice big chunk of this in the X-Men 97 episode. So we do go back and check out the comics like we're kind of doing right now.
Yeah. And then from rewatching the 5th season, so this was the last episode of the last season, correct me if I'm wrong, where we seen
Charles went, yeah.
Okay. And I believe her name is Lalandra or something like that.
Lalandra, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm catching up on this because I have not rewatched in a while. There's some things I'm missing, but so far the show's been really good. And then on this scene right here, I don't know if there's anyone you recognize.
Basically just Ronan and Guardian. Everyone else is kind of new to me, and yeah, I gotta say I'm very new to this part of the Shi'ar Empire. This was kind of before I got into it. We'll find another slide of Jim Lee's version that this was all taken from, but this stuff was before I got into comics. X-Men #1 is basically when I jumped in from the 90s, if anyone wants to pinpoint my knowledge.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know if you guys can put some names to these faces we have here. That part did stand out to me as well. This is another like half. We had one story with Xavier and the Shi'ar, and we had the Storm Muff. We'll get to it as well. So while his X-Men, while his mutants that he loved are getting bombed, blasted, and put away, this man out here trying to get his groove on. Everybody's in love, Zach.
This show is a soap opera. The action is there, everything's great, it's fantastic, but this show is a soap opera.
It truly is, but everybody's in love, and we're gonna get to it. There's another one that really rubbed me the wrong way as we get to it later on. But Charles Xavier and the person that saved him, she made the announcement after her sister Deathbird runs through Ronan and his people. Some guy comes running in like, listen, it's from your sister, and she gets an announcement saying, she pronouncing her love for this man, Charles Xavier, saying he's not like, oh, no other Terran ever, he's special. And then she mentions her brother. And he said she referred to him as going mad a few times. It made me think of Thanos. I know Thanos isn't related, but it made me think of him. Do you know who her brother is?
I can't remember. I just remember this is like part of what was like the Dark Phoenix stuff. So someone in the comments, let us know what this is all about, because this was touched on. I just kind of don't really remember the full extent of it.
I don't remember the name. I think it's like, I don't know if it started with like a D or something like that. I think that was the name of the brother. And she said he almost like ruined the galaxy or something like that. And Charles Xavier, being the master psychic, master telepath he is, saved the day. And eventually she saved his life. They fell in love. She's been someone she can be herself with right here. They're in some garden, they're out here with the flowers and whatnot, real romantic. And my boy Charles is walking.
He's walking, he's talking. If anyone sees me look down, it's because I'm going through the Marvel Encyclopedia right now, and I do believe Majester Deken is the Shi'ar person who fails to do the throne, which was Leandra's brother. So if you've got a correction on me, hit me in the comics. I do not mind. But yes, he was walking. It's part of the armor. It's part of the suit. Man, it reminds me of Lex Luthor's kind of suit when he's in it. Just a side note, when I was a kid, I always thought like the hair and everything was funny for the Shi'ar because it's all straight. Yeah. And they kept it going in here. So I thought that was kind of like a nice touch.
It was. He does look, maybe he's bald like Lex Luthor. He does kind of like have that look. And when he came out, when she introduced him to the crowd, his face looked weird with the mask. It threw me off a little bit there. Made like his nose look a little weird. I thought it was like a shadow from the mask or whatever.
Yeah, it did.
But here he goes. They're pronouncing their love, and the wedding is on.
This is very awkward. One of the most powerful beings in our Milky Way ghetto, going up against an Empress. And I'm sorry, I also have the Imperial Guard list up here. It's Gladiator, not Guardian, so I was screwing up the name. The big guy with the Mohawk. But this is so bizarre to me. It was like, I don't even know what this was like. It was just like, if she's the Empress and she professes her love for him, why does her sister come in and have everyone else? He should forget everything. Yeah, weird stuff. I guess I have to read the comics more.
Yeah, that was insane. And he was going along with it, man. He felt like he owed her a debt while he's alive. She's been nothing but kind to him, so he was going to go through with it. And literally, Genosha just got blown away. But he's out here forgetting about everybody.
Forgetting about his other love interest, Myra McTaggart, who's on Genosha too.
Hey, so that's true. Again, another shot right here. Some action during this first part of the scene. Another 2-part type of episode here, split in half. And then this part right here, again, we got Charles Xavier. And then how was this comic right here?
So that right there is basically him back on Earth, where he comes back. That is the same armor right there. That's Jim Lee art. That is Uncanny X-Men 275. So if you want to check that out, that is some where this stuff was taken from. And also there's Uncanny X-Men 107 through 109 you can check out, and New X-Men 118 to 126. But that is
Oh,
Charles right there. I remember seeing that in the store too when I was in the comic store, and I didn't know who that was, just looking at the cover, and now I'm informed.
nice. Definitely go back and see some of these comics after watching the show, man. There's so much to get into with this. Before we get to this next part of the episode, it's now becoming glaring to me that Wolverine is a super side character. 6 episodes in, and I barely got to see anything going on with the guy. We had that cool shot in the first episode with him and Gambit. Never went
Yeah,
back to any actual Wolverine again, besides him, fawning over Jean Grey.
just wait for it. I do believe, like they said, 8 through 10 are going to be the big
Yeah.
episodes for this series. I do believe he's going to play his part there, and the big action scenes are really going to come for him.
I mean, that is true. It only takes one episode to get Wolverine going. So, I'm
Right.
waiting. We got 4 more episodes now, but right now, I barely. Cyclops is doing better than him. It is like getting more recognition, which is crazy, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. And then, of course, we got to get to the second part of the show, the Life Death Part 2. Forge and Storm. Where we left off, Storm was getting consumed by the what we now know as the adversary. This crazy looking. This thing is creepy. The voice is creepy. Everything about it is creepy. The owl looking
Yeah.
menacing. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played. It's an Xbox game called Ori and the Blind Forest. It's got a secret Ori and the Will of the Wisp. I have another menacing owl. Different look, but kind of reminded me of that. Got that same vibe. Um, but with this, how did you feel about this story and how it meshed? Would you think it was good to have these two stories intertwined?
I did because, again, so maybe it's just a product of me watching too much TV in general, not just like cartoons or reading comics. I kind of knew that this was going to be her overcoming one of her big fears, which was presented in the original animated series, which was claustrophobia.
Yeah.
Um, and then something kind of like it's almost like we don't exactly know exactly what the adversary was, which is fine because I can look here and see how the original of the adversary was, and you got to change with the times. Um, it didn't. I didn't know exactly what the adversary was by watching this, and I'm fine with that. But I could kind of tell where it was going with a supernatural thing, and Storm was going to do it on her own.
Yeah.
Did you like that, or did you need more
See, I
definition?
still had so many questions once it ended, and like, because going into it, I was under the impression the adversary was part of Forge. It was whether he was doing it on purpose or not. It was being projected from him. So I had thought like that was something to get over with Storm. Watching, I started thinking, okay, is this part of? Is she like hallucinating? Is this part of the machine he built to get her powers back to see if she really wants them? So we discovered that she was so detached from humanity because of her powers that
Yeah,
she kind of resented him in a way. She kind of just wanted to be part of humanity. She wanted to be normal. Kind of similar to what Roberto's going through a little bit.
yeah,
So
yeah,
with this, what the executioner did to her, she almost obviously she grieved her powers at first. She was upset and like she was very like, thrown off. But at this point, look like she's come to the conclusion. She's come to the, she doesn't really want him anymore. So she had to get over that hurdle. And it was well done. There's a lot of I think different things going on that was indirect with the psychological stuff, her being claustrophobic, which I kind of forgot she was.
yeah. I actually think about that every time I'm in a tight spot. I always think of the original X-Men animated series and Storm being claustrophobic. That's the only
Yeah.
thing that comes to my mind whenever I'm in that. That was done so well. This was good. The adversary, again, Forge summoned the adversary in the original comics, and he wound up sacrificing 6 people to
Mm.
save himself. So, I mean, if you want to look it up, it's something that I like this version better because it is a little bit more up to your imagination, which
Yeah.
makes things a little bit more scary.
It was. And then, they play with her being, scared in that cave. She loses the lights. Now she's in the dark. You hear this freaking owl's voice coming from underneath her as she's
Yeah.
climbing. There's a lot
Forge
going
just
on
tripping out. Forge just had that purple Urkel. That's what he's just like.
there. He needed that cactus juice to save her. I don't know. Yeah, who wrote? They had to
Hydrate
make who wrote.
Forge. Yeah.
So she got the cactus juice eventually, showing her true hero spirit, really connecting with that. And she saves Forge. Really good stuff. And I'm going to get straight to it here. This right here Once she broke through and got her powers back, all of this, I'm here for all of this. This right here is some of the
Ooh.
greatest shot I have ever seen. That they are spot on. This was amazing. I was ready to run through a brick wall after she was powered up. I was like, let's go. I was hyped. They got me going, man. 30 minutes. They use every single minute properly. Storm is back. The real Omega level mutant is back. Okay.
I am so fine with that. I agree. It was like it took a while to get to here, but this is done so beautifully well. These are the things that like stand out to you, and if it's done in film, these are the things that make you remember a film by. This is so beautiful. I think the creators said they wanted to kind of mirror Superman's first
Yeah.
flight, innocent. I can't remember, but like that's what it is. That's what it felt like. Her discovering everything, like the wind, the water beneath her, and just like powering up with the original suit. So I thought this was just beautiful. I thought this
Original
was
suit
so
was
well
amazing.
done. Yeah, I love
Really
it.
well done. I'm glad they brought the suit back. I'm glad they let her power up like this. And she even that when she was going through stuff with the adversary, he was saying like, she kind of like dims her light a bit when she's around the X-Men. She lets someone else lead, and I think going forward now, I think she got her powers back. She might look to be in charge. I think she might take over and be that leader we know she'll become.
Between this and Scott being a bitch, I think you're right.
Scott getting tossed, man. You don't know which girl to love. I just found out. I just remembered he cheated with Emma Frost too. He got three
Yep.
girls. He got a son running around. Not there for his kid.
He's
Uh,
telepathically making booty calls. Like this dude
like,
is
come
all
on,
over the
dog.
place.
Come on,
Get
dog.
it together.
So, and he's flipping out on national television. With the
Do
reporter.
that.
As good as Scott Cyclops was in the first episode, showed a true leader having to step up to the mantle. Since Xavier is gone, we see him get replaced with Magneto. We see that each episode he get picked apart. Each part of his leadership get picked apart, left and right.
Yep.
Now we're going to see a different side of Cyclops. So I think you're right. I think perfect now for Storm to come in and take that position.
I think so. Well done though. Fucking awesome.
Yeah, really well done. I'll say it again. I said it a few episodes ago on the reviews. The animation seems so inspired. I'm truly loving what they're doing, and this was a hell of a shot, man.
It was. This is Aurora Monroe. It's not just Storm. We got to see Aurora Monroe.
Yeah.
So we get to see the true her, just like we got to see the true Scott, who's a bitch. So we get to see the real people.
All right, my boy, not letting everything hang out there. So again, as we're going back and forth with these episodes, we then get back to my boy Professor X, and he put everybody in class. It's all broken loose. People are fighting, and his first thought: I'm one of the most powerful mutants in the galaxy. Let's go to class. They're taking the professor gimmick a little too seriously here.
I think so. The eating of the apple is a little bit too much for me too.
Yeah.
But the fact you put these people in desks, like you've, what kind of a timeout did you just give these people? But that's we get it as Americans from Earth.
Yeah. So he's locked in here. This war breaks out in the council. He's supposed to renounce his X-Men. He hesitates, can't do it. Deathbird jumps on him, and now she's trying to strike for the position to have the throne. All the forces are attacking, man. For me, I felt a little off with the back and forth with the two stories. I don't know if it really was smooth, but we get here just towards the end here. I don't know what you're thinking as you're watching the episode.
This should have mirrored Storm a little bit more and Aurora. Then this should have been more about Charles Xavier rather than be like turning back into Professor X rather than doing this classroom thing. Again, this took me out, especially with the apple, and it just should have been maybe his memories were getting drained, but one of them just can't, or one of them triggers him to like remember, no, this is my life, this is what I fought for. Thanks for keeping me alive, but I'm going back to my Milky Way ghetto.
Yeah. And then I don't know if you caught this too. As he's obviously teaching him, he had a few quotes in this. I don't know if you had seen all the quotes, but we get to this part, and like the last episode with, I think it was Emma Frost, Jean Grey, and it might have been all three of them, the three telepaths. We seen them get looks like they got sniped in the head or something. Like something happened, and they it messed with them, and we seen that happen here all of a sudden. And who pops up? We see Gambit, the guy who sacrificed himself in the last episode, and he turns into like some freaking skeleton type thing and shoots a beam at Professor X, and now he's connected back with everything, and he sees that what happened in Genosha.
I'm glad something triggered him to what's going
Yeah,
on. Let's get everyone back. Let's get everyone back to where they need to be. The story's fine where it is, and lets people know what's what. And it let people know that Storm's an Omega level mutant without doing like 2 full episodes of showing that.
yeah,
So it's good. I just that classroom stuff with Charles kind of took me out a little bit.
it did. Again, I kind of I'm telling in the chat, I kind of expected a little more of a down episode to regather ourselves, reset up for something bigger. Um, I seen people going back and forth whether it worked or not. Like some people didn't like it, some people were like, still on board with the show. I do believe next episode, see episode 7, we're getting another setup episode as well. I don't think it'll be too much action.
Okay. All right, and I'm fine with that, and that makes sense because again, if episodes 8 through 10, and then you have
Yeah.
whatever's going to set up for season 2, I think that's good. I'm fine with down episodes.
Yeah, I'm too. And we still haven't seen the reaction from any other characters, whether it was X-Men, the fall, or with the fallout with the Rogue, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops, and everyone else finding out what happened. So we haven't seen that yet. So there's still a lot you can touch on next episode without furthering the story too much. But yeah, I think it was a solid episode. I don't think, obviously, it's gonna be hard to follow what happened last episode.
Oh, it's tough to come off a 10 out of 10 episode. It really is.
It is.
But I give him credit. It was a nice way to put Life Death 1 before this, so we have something familiar to come back to, and a good way to tie it in. The Professor X stuff, tying it back in, cool. We know he's coming back, but the Storm stuff with Aurora was so well done that it just makes up for this being a down episode. 100%.
It does. Besides, we're clowning Forge a few episodes. Besides her getting her powers back, she did profess her love for Forge, which I don't know how that came about, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I was like. This is Black Panther's girl. Whether Black Panther or Bishop, forget Forge, man. Get him out of
Forge,
there. Nobody loves triangles.
You saw his place in his bullshit chili. Come on.
That wasn't it. Not for Storm.
Yeah,
the
right.
queen of the skies. Come on now. But yeah, episode 6 review. It's time to get into our Easter egg. Get to that breakdown. Let us know what you guys saw, and if there's anything else you guys might have noticed. What did you find, Zach?
Basically, I think stuff everyone else found. I do believe at the end. Do you want to do these in order, or you just want to go through?
You got it.
Okay, let me just go to. This is in the beginning. I noticed this a lot. They're doing stuff with changing the animation or redoing the animation from stuff that happened in the original series, which I think is fine because then you don't owe Saban any money for it. It's all yours and whatever. But I did notice that they did put Master Mold with Nimrod coming out, so I do believe that's going to be part of the storyline going forward. And I do believe that Cable will have some input coming pretty soon. It might be the down episode next week.
I think we have to see him next week.
Yeah. The other thing in the beginning, too, Nightcrawler got a scene, took over for Gambit's spot in a couple of places, too. So did you like having Nightcrawler in there and then Gambit and Magneto out?
I did. I like, updating the format because it just adds a little more to it. It makes me want to look and keep an eye out for each intro. I don't skip the intro because of the song. Now I'm not skipping it and keeping an eye out for, what's playing out in front of me.
Yeah. Let us know if you noticed anything else in the beginning. I know there's more stuff with the Shi'ar and Charles Xavier and retelling that in the beginning. And I feel like they were going to do this to tease what's coming up, but we're 6 episodes in. I think they're just doing this to refresh everyone's memory because you can go back and watch the old stuff if you want to really get a recap.
Yeah.
The other thing I noticed is this. I think everyone else did too. Forge's powers mirrored Doctor Strange's. I don't think that's by coincidence, and the book too. A lot of stuff with the books, especially with Scarlet Witch and in the Doctor Strange 2. So I do believe that is by design, and that is going to play into it. I don't know if it's more. If anyone knows how this ties into what the MCU is doing with Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch's book, let us know because this is very purposeful, and maybe they'll touch on it more in Agatha, her series as well.
Yeah, you can't design his magic this, to look exactly like Doctor Strange's and not be a direct parallel, something directly connected. He did say he said it was like his desert magic that was passed on from his natives throughout his generations. So he seems like he's a very powerful guy. He has this magic. He has his mutant stuff. He whether he summons the adversary or not. He has some powers going on and some demons, but it's cool to see this type of magic, not just be specific to one group of people. Like it's magic that's everywhere, but it might be different or used differently depending on where you are in the world.
Exactly. Yep.
So
That's the ones that I found. So what would you get?
I thought it was a really cool touch here, and then let me see. Jump over here. These are the new images Zach talked about. The one big one. I don't know if you guys caught it because he was barely on screen, but Vulcan. Vulcan is a super powerful mutant, but he also happens to be Scott Summers' Cyclops' long lost brother. So I wonder how they're going to tie this in, if they're ever going to touch on it. But Cyclops is getting hit with so much family stuff, and now he has a long lost brother that might reappear.
All right, let me just touch on his origin really quick here from the encyclopedia. Christopher and Catherine Summers were flying in a small plane with their sons Scott and Alex, who's Havoc, when they spotted a Shi'ar starship. Scott and Alex got away, but the Shi'ar captured their parents. The Shi'ar killed Catherine and placed her unborn child in a machine that turned him into an adolescent, then made him a slave on Earth. The boy escaped and was taken by Moira McTaggart, one of Charles's exes, who named him Gabriel. When the original X-Men were captured, Professor X trained Moira's wards, including Gabriel, to rescue them. Instead, they were killed, and Professor X erased Cyclops' memory of his newfound brother. After M-Day, which get into M-Day. If you can get into M-Day, that's a cool one. That's a good storyline. The burst of energy taken from the Earth's mutants revived Gabriel. Calling himself Vulcan, he killed Banshee, exposed Professor X's betrayal, then left to take his revenge on the Shi'ar. In the process, he killed his father and later declared himself Shi'ar Emperor. That's in a nutshell, so you can definitely hit up any kind of comics with Vulcan in it.
That is a lot. Like that's so convoluted, man. But it's crazy.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I'm glad you pointed that out. I really didn't know who this was. I knew it was someone important based on how they had him stand and everything. And then it made me think, if you're familiar with Strife, his headset and his gear looked like Charles Xavier's from the Shi'ar. So that's
So let us know if anything else you guys found. That's a definitely cool Easter egg. Again, they're showing some characters for like a few split seconds that actually have like some crazy backstories that you might delve into later on. Definitely a good episode, good Easter eggs, and then the ending here. We're seeing Mr. Sinister pop up more and more. Seeming like the overarching villain. Do you think he's the main villain of season 1, or is there someone else? Is he the villain that's in between the two? He took Bolivar Trask, obviously working for him, who got the DNA to have Master Mold. You think just another guy, or you think it's just Mr. Sinister?
I think if you look in the corner, that's who I think is in charge of this. It's someone else that we're not totally familiar with. It is Bastion. He's the one cut out of that picture. If you see the outfit on Bastion with the buttons mirrors the one I got here from the 2000s version of him. So I do believe it's Bastion in control of all this. And Sinister is just, like you say, he's just kind of in and out. I think he's going to be around for the first 3 seasons that this is going to be for sure. I think he's a long-term villain.
Yeah, and from my memory, he was so much more menacing this time around than the first original one. Like he's really like causing some havoc.
Yeah, and the darker colors and a little bit more shading on the eye, just like we talked about Nightcrawler. You got the artwork to make him a little bit more cooler looking.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. And then this is the first time I think I've seen Bolivar Trask be a little more like remorseful a bit. Like he was. He see what happened. He's like freaking out. He doesn't want to be a part of it no more. He understands what he did was wrong, and that was interesting.
It was. Another random rumor is Sinister might be the villain of the first MCU X-Men movie, and they're not going to do Magneto right away. So that might be part of the synergy to get everyone in here. We did hear Cassandra Nova is going to be in this first season as well. She is the villain of Deadpool. So they might be purposely doing some synergy with MCU.
I'm not mad at it. The only thing I'll keep saying it, I'm fine with Mr. Sinister being the main villain. Magneto has to be in that movie though. He has to be there. He doesn't have to be the main villain. He has to be there.
Yep.
So I'll be curious to see how they go about that, man. Let me know if my audio, I know it's a little late in the review, but let me know how my audio is doing this week. I want to make sure it's all pristine. As you guys can see, the CEO, Eric, gave us a boost in production. He's happy with last week's views. Hopefully you can keep it up this week. But episode 6 has been it's a solid episode. If you were to give it a
Yeah.
grade out of 10, what are you looking for?
I'll give this one. I'll give it a 6.8. The Shi'ar stuff really didn't hit with me. The Shi'ar are very bland. I'm not like even when they're doing the Dark Phoenix stuff, it was the Dark Phoenix and the X-Men that brought you in. The Shi'ar stuff, I'm not as familiar with the comics, so man, that Aurora becoming Storm again, that's what really hit. That's what brought it home. That's what made this get close to a 7. But I'm not going to go with a 7 quite yet because the Shi'ar stuff was kind of dull, and they could have just cut that down to maybe about 5 minutes of Charles figuring his life out.
Yeah, I think so. Like, it was good to see some new characters, but it made me like kind of miss seeing the other guys and seeing the fallout after episode 5. I love the Storm stuff, just to have her get her powers back. It was good to see Professor X, but I think this one out of all the episodes might have been lacking the most meat on the bone. I don't think it was really there. So I'm gonna give it a 6.5 out of 10. Still
Okay.
solid episode. I'm still on board with the show.
Oh yeah.
But definitely a down episode. Another Easter egg or fun fact that I did see: the guy that was voicing Professor X now, Ross Marquand, I believe his name is. You guys might know him from The Walking Dead. He came in a little later on. Really good actor. And I guess I didn't know, but he does like a lot of voices. So he came on to do Professor X for this. I think they said he was in there for the MCU as well. He might have did Red Skull a few times and a few other guys. So he's around.
He was Red Skull in Endgame.
Yeah. So I didn't know that at all. So he's clearly a talented voice actor.
Yeah. That's really cool. Also from last week, if you caught the Watcher image in there, we missed that one. And then 2 of the people in Genosha that got murdered that they showed close-ups for were cartoon renderings of DeMeo that got the boot, and then another, I think, director or writer. So they put themselves in there, which is cool.
Okay, I see that later on, but I didn't know that was actually the episode. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, episode 6 here. Thank you all for jumping in and following with us. I seen the comments last week. Really appreciate that. And you guys added so much. It was good to look back and see those comments. Really appreciate all that. Definitely hit the like button if you enjoy our reviews. We'll be back next week, every Thursday, XMen 97 review right here on the channel. Going live. So hit us up in the comments, a chat, whatever you get to see it. Let's talk X-Men as we enjoy this ride. 4 more episodes left, man. Love doing this with you guys. Zach, any last words? Final word.
Keep hitting up the comments. We love doing this on Thursday. Give you guys time to watch it, maybe even rewatch it and collect some Easter egg data. Fill us in on anything. I know we have our knowledge and we got the Marvel Encyclopedia here, but you out there, you're the readers, and you can fill us in on some stuff to read too, because this can tell us some highlights of characters, but you can tell us what stories are really good that can grab you at the heartstrings. So hit us up in the comments.
Yes, hit us up in the comments. Really appreciate you guys. Yeah, 6.5 out of 10 for me, 6.8 out of 10 for Zach. Let us know in the chat below. But from your boys at the West Coast Pop, it is the final boss. It is the main man. We'll see you next week for X-Men episode 7. Peace out, y'all.
Later.